Okay, you guys ready to get started?
Yes.
Okay. Hello, and thank you all for joining us for a very special World Down Syndrome Day event, including people with disabilities and Missouri's vaccine equity campaign, this Facebook Live event here on March 18th. Hello, everybody. I'm Sarah Harpier. I'm serving as a special advisor for COVID-19 for disability services to Missouri's Department of Health and Senior Services, as well as very honored to be co-chairing Missouri's advisory committee on the COVID-19 equitable distribution. March 21st marks a very special day, in fact, one of my favorite days out of the entire year, World Down Syndrome Day. This is a global awareness event which has been officially observed by the United Nations since 2012. The date for World Down Syndrome Day is the 21st day of the third month, signifying 3 copies of the 21st chromosome, which causes Down syndrome. Here in Missouri on this historic day, we are proud to celebrate individuals with Down syndrome, their families, and caregivers across our state, especially my friend Elijah, who's with us this afternoon. Today, we have a very special panel discussion to help us not only celebrate the 2021 World Down Syndrome Day, but also to have a timely discussion around our efforts here in Missouri to ensure people with disabilities, their families, and caregivers are represented in our COVID-19 vaccine response, rollout, and plan. I'm honored to be joined again this afternoon by an esteemed panel, Dr. Randall Williams, Todd and Elijah Mayfield, and I'm excited. Welcome to each of you for joining us for this panel discussion. Before we kind of get started, I'd love for each of you just to jump in and introduce yourself. So, Dr. Williams, why don't we start with you?
Sarah, thank you so much. Dr. Randall Williams. I'm Director of Health and Senior Services for Missouri, a board-certified obstetrician. I delivered over 2,000 babies when I practiced for 30 years, and it's just a real privilege to be here with you today.
Thank you, Dr. Williams. Todd?
Todd Mayfield, and I'm Elijah's dad, as most people know me. And I'm just an advocate along with Elijah, and feel incredibly blessed to be a part of the Down syndrome community. And I'm honored to get to be a part of this panel today.
Thank you. And last, but certainly not least, Elijah.
Hi, my name is Elijah Mayfield. I am the son of Todd.
Well, that's an important title. Well, let's go ahead and get started. Elijah, I'm gonna start with you.
Okay.
Could you tell us on this special World Down Syndrome Day panel discussion what it means to be a self-advocate and why World Down Syndrome Day is so important to you?
For me, being a self-advocate is just showing people that individuals with Down syndrome can do great things if given the opportunity. I have been very blessed to have a lot of really good people in my life that have provided me with some pretty amazing opportunities. The World Down Syndrome Day is important to me because it gives us a great opportunity to raise positive public awareness about people with Down syndrome.
Thank you, Elijah. And I know I've been honored to do many of those public events with you over the last several years.
Yes.
Dr. Williams, I have a couple questions for you. I know it's been a year since COVID-19 struck Missouri, and I know you and our entire state has been working nonstop to take a balanced approach to help us fight the virus, keep Missourians, especially our most vulnerable, as safe as possible. And here in Missouri, a lot of work has been accomplished over the last 12 months, including ensuring people with disabilities and their caregivers, those, as Elijah and Todd will point out here in a moment, that can get the most sick from the COVID-19 virus. We worked really hard to ensure that they were prioritized in our vaccine rollout and tiered response. Could you just go into a little bit more detail about the eligibility process and specifically how individuals with disabilities and their caregivers and family members can access the vaccine here in Missouri?
Yes, Sarah. I get up every morning and look at our data, and Missouri is second in the United States for the least number of cases over the last 7 days per 100,000. It's been that way for a month. And when I did a national story last night because they wanted to know how Missouri was able to accomplish that. And the governor and I would both say it's because of leaders like Elijah. It is people like Elijah who have stepped up and taken leadership roles to get vaccinated. When I wrote the order, it's my order as a licensed physician in Missouri who could get vaccinated. One of the first considerations I took was the community we're talking about today. They're caregivers. They're incredibly important to me. They're incredibly important to the governor as a practicing physician and the state's leader. And so everyone is eligible. I would highly encourage people to go to our website, nostopscovid.com, go up in the right-hand corner where it says register now and hit that button, and that will get you to the navigator, and that will tell you where to go in your area. I talked with General Perna yesterday. We're going to have a big bolus of vaccines coming in 2 weeks, a lot of vaccines. So I hope you will follow Elijah's lead. Can't thank him enough for his leadership in the state, and seriously consider getting the vaccination.
Thank you, Dr. Williams. More than 1 in 5 Americans, over 21% of the population, has served as a caregiver to an adult or a child with special needs at some point in the last year. We know family caregivers often serve in a role of an unpaid healthcare worker, really providing that in-home care to those that have an increased risk for severe illness as a result of COVID-19. Todd, I know you and I have had some conversations preparing for today's discussion, but from your perspective as a parent and a caregiver, what does it mean to you that the state of Missouri has placed such a great emphasis on prioritizing our vaccine supply for those individuals with an increased risk of severe illness? And what has been the biggest challenge for you and Elijah, your wife, and your family over the last year?
Sarah, we are just extremely grateful that Dr. Williams and the state of Missouri has made it a priority to get those individuals that are at high risk access to the vaccines. We know several families that have family members with Down syndrome that have struggled with severe complications, and unfortunately, we know a few that actually lost a family member, and it's heartbreaking, and especially when they weren't able to be with them there in the hospital. And we just can't even imagine and what that would be like. And probably for us personally, one of our biggest struggles over the past year, especially those first 6 months or so, has been the isolation. Elijah is extremely social, and that has always been his best skill, is interacting face to face with people. And we're hopeful that with the availability of the vaccine that he'll be able to get back to what he does best very soon.
Thank you for that, Todd. Elijah, I understand you just received your second dose of the COVID-19 vaccine not that long ago. Could you talk to us a little bit about your experience and why it was so important for you to access the vaccine?
I just got my second dose of the vaccine here in Missouri 2 weeks ago. I know because I am an adult with Down syndrome. I have a higher risk of getting sicker than the general public. It was important for my family, me to get the vaccine, but also for my job as the head manager of a college basketball team. I also wanted to do my part to protect my team, our coaches, and our fans from this deadly virus.
That's incredible. Congratulations, Elijah. And
Thank
you. Thank you for sharing your story. I think it's important for other individuals with disabilities and their families and caregivers to take your lead and, of course, learn from your experience.
Thank you.
Dr. Williams, when COVID-19 struck, there was no roadmap on how to fight it. We faced many challenges over the past year, but if one thing is clear, there's light at the end of the tunnel, and it's only getting brighter, and especially thanks to folks like Elijah. Elijah's joined a significant portion of our population thus far in taking steps to help us combat COVID-19. Could you talk a little bit about our roadmap moving forward here in Missouri and what others watching today can help do to access the vaccine and help us ensure we're nearing that light at the end of the tunnel as quickly as possible here in Missouri?
Yes, Sarah. Thanks to the leadership of people like Elijah, 1 million Missourians have been vaccinated. We think probably at least another million probably have immunity from acquiring the disease. And so we'd like to get to about 75%, which we think we can probably do by the end of May. The CDC put out guidance this week that if you get vaccinated, that you don't have to quarantine or isolate among family members. So would certainly encourage people to take Elijah's recommendation and consider getting vaccinated, because now you have a very practical reason that if you get vaccinated, you don't have to do some of those other things we ask people to do. But I just want to add that again, I consider Elijah a colleague. We work together at the Capitol, and I love looking at his picture with the governor and the governor's office. And he is proof of what I always say is the happiest people I know are other-centered. And Elijah is just genuinely cares about others. And I just can't tell you what an inspiration he is to me.
Well, thank you, Dr. Williams.
You're welcome, Elijah.
Elijah, you are certainly an inspiration and somebody I also call a colleague from many different roles and capacities that you've served over the years.
Thank you.
Before I wrap up, Dr. Williams or Todd or Elijah, any other comments for the group or everyone out there watching?
Dan?
Yeah. No, just thank you guys very much. Appreciate you so much and all the work that you're doing, and especially you, Dr. Williams. Just can't say enough about how much we appreciate you.
I'm going to let Elijah have the last word.
Well, thank you, Dr. Williams. It's a great opportunity for me to be a part of this panel. From Sarah Ware, big thank you to her for asking me to be a part of it.
Well, thank you, Elijah. We are so honored to have you here with us today. I want to thank you, your dad, Todd, Dr. Williams, for joining us for such an incredible, very brief discussion to help us mark and celebrate World Down Syndrome Day. Here in Missouri, we have quite a few events going on with the governor and with some of our activities across the state. I just wanted to remind and encourage and invite our listeners to help join in the many ways and many efforts here in Missouri as we continue to lead forward to ensure underserved and underrepresented populations have access to the COVID-19 vaccine. Last year, we launched our very own Missouri Advisory Committee on the equitable COVID-19 vaccine distribution, really to ensure people with disabilities and other key stakeholders are engaged in our state's rollout and response. And obviously we have the underlying goal to ensure equitable distribution of the COVID-19 vaccine across all communities. We're honored to have the Governor's Council on Disability, which Elijah, you are a member, and Todd was just saying he served on the Governor's Council for 18 years. We also have the Missouri Developmental Disabilities Council, the Missouri Association of Rehab Facilities that are included in this diverse membership on our advisory committee. For those listening, just a reminder, our meetings are open to the public and take place every Thursday at 1 p.m. And as Dr. Williams pointed out earlier, you can go onto our website. It's mostopscovid.com for more information. The last thing I wanted to point out is that Missouri is actually one of 12 states participating in a large-scale initiative between our Department of Health and Senior Services, along with the Association of State and Territorial Health Officials, and the CDC. And I've been proud for the last several months to be serving in this role for Missouri and assisting with our state's COVID-19 response, really to advocate for and protect the rights and health and well-being of people with disabilities here in Missouri. And finally, and right now, as Dr. Williams eloquently discussed, under Phase 1 and Phase 1B tiers here in Missouri, we'll just remind you, as Elijah did such a great job, individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities such as Down syndrome, along with their caregivers or family members, are eligible to receive and access the COVID-19 vaccine. So again, I want to thank Elijah, I want to thank Todd and Dr. Williams for being part of this important discussion, and we hope you will have a fantastic day. Thank you.
Thanks, Sarah.
Thank you.
My name is Elijah Mayfield. I am a self-advocate. I am a server as well, and I have a fantastic night.
We're really showing members of Congress and the general public that people with Down syndrome are ready, willing, and able to work.
This is really cool. When you look around and you see someone with Down syndrome that's playing the violin. You see those with Down syndrome behind the bar. The waiters and waitresses are those with Down syndrome. And it's just, I think it's helping change people's perceptions about what is possible, even when you have that extra 21st chromosome.
So people with Down syndrome are actually really held back in terms of what they can earn and what they can save. Our folks can only earn $16,000 a year before they put their health care, like Medicaid, in jeopardy.
We want to open up the door for those with disabilities, with Down syndrome, to have a job, to work, to have a paycheck. But it's so much more than a paycheck. It's what gives you purpose and dignity. It's the opportunity for a better life.
There were some signs that our baby had Down syndrome. That was, at that point, I thought was the saddest moment of my life, when all our hopes and dreams and everything were yanked from us. I can tell you that our experience has been so far from that. I wouldn't trade my son or his diagnosis for anything in the world. I'm just so thrilled and so proud to get to be here and watching our sons and daughters with Down syndrome and watching them shine.
I work at our Missouri State Capitol. I work in the office there. This event is very important to us because we get a lot of important people, and this is a great event for everyone to come out to eat and visit with all of us for the self-advocates.
We're going to actually unveil our latest campaign, our latest initiative, and it's called Law Syndrome. And the premise is that Down syndrome doesn't stop people with Down syndrome. It's really the law that holds them back.
Tonight's gathering is about challenging the norm. It's about changing a century's worth of discriminatory laws that hold all individuals back. It's about allowing individuals with Down syndrome to plan for their own future, to go to school, to get married, to start their own business, and to have equal access to health care and be able to pursue the American dream.
Just because someone has a disability doesn't mean that they should live in poverty, right? And that next frontier is to address employment and independent living. And that's our generation's contribution to those with disabilities